Alright, how I met Antonio. I met him, it's probably about 2000, 2001. I was doing one of my first, not one of my first shows, but one of my bigger shows in Sacramento. We had a sold out crowd, Mac Dre, Andre Nicotina. I get there to set up. It's one of my first shows I was doing, so I was very excited. I get to the venue at like 2 p.m. Like, I want to make sure everything's right. He hops, so this white van pulls up, hops out the car. Big Italian guy, dressed nice, looks a little intimidating. He's like, "What's up, man? I'm Tony Servideo. Been kind of watching you. I just wanted to introduce myself and, help you out tonight, give you some of my services." And, he's helped me with the artist that night. He helped me just kind of keep track on stuff at the show for one of my first shows, and it meant a lot, to have some guy, older than me, way more experienced, to come out and just kind of, help me out with the show. And it was really cool. And then next day, I check my email, and I have an email from Tony, a list of all these different artists that he's booking, people, Too Short, E40, Nelly, Ja Rule, Ice Cube, all these crazy acts that, I dreamed that one day I would work with. And, he had also these prices next to these acts I couldn't quite afford, so I was like, okay, maybe it'll still be a dream to one day work with these. And, we kind of talked a little bit. He's like, "Man, I've been watching you for, over a year out here, and I've been seeing these shows and these moves." And he's like, "How about I put up the money and you throw the shows?" He's like, "I know you can sell these out and make us money back, And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so he was, my first big investor. He gave me a chance when nobody else would. And, it really meant a lot, and he really took my career, he gave it a boost, gave it a little super speed, and like at that time I was working with, huge acts, for me at the time at least, it was Mac Dre, Andre Nicotina, Be Legit, Selly Cell, Spice One, these guys that I've been watching on MTV and, really, really, fans of, and just thought, it's amazing that I even got to this level. And within 2 years, he jumped up from, those acts to Nelly, to Snoop Dogg, to Korn, to Papa Roach, and Metallica. It was just pretty insane, the level that he moved me up really fast to. And it just went from, we started out, we would do, just small shows, then we do mini tours, then we went into arenas. This was stuff that he was already experienced of, but for me, it was, I was popping my cherry. It was the first time I was doing stuff like this. And then, we went to property management. Then we went to vacation rentals and high-end houses, vacation rentals out of the country, Mexico properties. It's just a huge range of stuff we moved from. A crazy story about me and Antonio. One thing that you gotta know about Tony is his life, every day, he does everything 100%. If you hang out with him for one day, you'll have 5 crazy stories, that you'll want to tell people. Like, it's just, when he wakes up in the morning, from his breakfast to, just everything he does to his workout, he does something crazy. He just lives his life to the fullest. There's millions of crazy stories, he, from stuff where you enter a nightclub through the kitchen just straight off a mafioso movie, to traveling to Mexico to buy real estate, like those type of stories that I could always brag about and tell for years. The stuff that stood out to me is the smaller, more comedic things he did. He used to have a lot of funny situations with girls, that I personally never got into, so I used to love watching him, have these fun times, you could put it that one way, but from broken windows, to death threats, to restraining orders, like really for no reason a lot of times too, like these girls just really fell in love with him. But I remember one time going to his house, and it couldn't have been, it was probably like 8, 9 in the morning, it was still early, and he's smiling, he has a little bit of blood coming up from his head, and his girlfriend's in there cooking everybody breakfast and stuff. She's smiling, everybody's happy, and I look on the wall, and there's a picture frame stuck in it like a ninja star. And I'm just like, the heck happened? And he's like, "Oh yeah, we got in a fight a little bit ago, and she threw a frame at me." And then I look, there's a couple more stuck in the wall. And I look at his cut on his head, and it's actually the end of a high heel that he got hit with it. And it was just funny because it was just so nonchalant. And like, yeah, just little stuff like that. Like I remember when he lived on a golf course, one of his houses in Reno, you know, golf ball hits his window. You know, he runs to the garage and he's like, man, I just want to scare this guy. He runs to the garage, grabs his four-wheeler, drives it down to the golf course, starts doing donuts around these guys. And it's just like, you know, I just wanted to scare him. They hit me with a golf ball, or they hit my house, and he just took off. You know, I don't think he tried to fight him or anything, but he just, you know, yells at him and does some circles or something like that, you know, and that was just pretty much every day stuff like that happened with him. In 3 years, I see Antonio, I see him happy, I see him successful. I see him just living the most out of life. One thing with Tony is everything he does 100%. Every part of the day, he doesn't, you know, you don't see him relaxing. Like when we would go to the beach and stuff in Mexico or something, the whole time we were at the beach in the sun, you know, we were working. You know, he doesn't relax. He relaxes, but he's always busy. And you know, I just see whatever ventures he gets into. Like right now, he's starting into this movie thing, but it's going to branch off into something else. For all we know, in 3 years, he's going to be acting in films. You know, he might be writing scripts. You know, he could be he loves real estate. He'll probably, you know, always have his hand in real estate. He loves beautiful cars. He loves beautiful women. So, you know, those have always been in his life. But, you know, he could be living in a one-room apartment. He can have a mansion in Reno, or he can be locked up in federal prison, and he'll be happy. He'll be living his life, and people are gonna hate because of that, you know. And that's one thing is he lives life on his own terms. He always makes himself happy, and people don't like that, you know. And that's, you know, when you see this project in the movie, it runs into a lot of haters, and you'll see why. It's just because he'll have a smile on his face. Like, you can't put him down. You can lock him up in prison and he'll have the time of his life, you know, and he'll get out and he'll live in an apartment or a halfway house, have the time of his life, and a year later he'll be living, you know, on Vegas in the Strip in a penthouse, having the time of his life. And then real estate crashes, he loses it, he moved back into that apartment and he's happy, you know. And that's why, you know, people hate on him. The Tunnel Vision movie project, it's really cool. It's something I'm really glad to be a part of. I got to see and actually live a lot of it, and, you know, hear the stories and, you know, see the stories work out. And it's going to be something really cool. It's a real life story. It's based off, you know, celebrities, relevant people, the entertainment business, prison, mafia, like sexy women, just everything that sells, you know, everything that, you know, the kids like, and that, you know, that the movies and, you know, all that, just all the nice drama, dramatics, impact. It just has a little bit of all that. So the movie's going to be a success. And there's just so many ways to go with it. That's what I'm the most interested about, is it's just such a beautiful big story that you couldn't fit it into 2 hours. You couldn't even fit it into, you know, a 10 movie series. So it's just really cool. I'm really interested to see what parts they pick, how they move it, how they build it together. But it's going to be a great movie, and you guys are going to want to see it.
I met Tony through like my fourth manager. He was already living out here, so when I came out here to visit, and when he heard my music and he knew what I was doing and he started to be my manager, he was like, I got somebody that fuck with the music business that you need to fuck with, he heavy. So that's when Tony had a crib at Panorama, and he took me up there to meet him, you know what I mean? And Tony ain't even really fuck with him like that. Like, he met Tony through somebody else. But when I went up there, we just kind of like really clicked. Like, when I walked in the nigga crib, this thing had platinum plaques from every artist, son. Like, every artist. Like, I'm talking about Mariah Carey to Jeezy to Nelly. Everybody on this nigga's walls. I'm walking in like, whoever the fuck I'm about to meet, this shit is official. You understand what I'm saying? I was like, this nigga's official. And, you know, we sat down, we talked, he told me what his services was, what he does. He heard some of my music. And ever since then, me and that nigga been tight. Like, he treat me like a little brother kind of, you know what I mean? Man, it's so many. But the one that sticks out the most, y'all remember when Tony first got the Phantom, right? He got the drop top Phantom, the 2-door suicide door jump off, 2-tone. Only 2 of them in the world. The only other nigga that have that same Phantom, same color and pattern, was fucking David Beckham. You understand what I'm saying? Tony's so petty. Tony riding around with the pink slip taped up on the fucking windshield to let niggas know it's real. Like, I own this, nigga. This ain't rented. This ain't fucking, I own this. You understand what I'm saying? So, Tony come scoop me, he hit me up, he like, yo, what you doing now? I'm like, nothing. He come scoop me. He like, yo, fuck going in the club, nigga. We in the Phantom. We ain't got to go to no fucking club. There's just parking lot pimp. But you know, you on the strip in Vegas, how you supposed to parking lot pimp? There's no parking lot. So what we do is, we go to valet to every casino up and down the strip. And when we pulling up through valet, bitches is in the taxi line waiting with they man. They see us and drop the nigga hand like, I'm like, wow, just violate they man like that, dead ass. Right there, like, just drop a nigga hand and looking all at us. So we riding through the strip or whatever. He got hit up by one of his bitches and he was like, yo, this bitch in the club faded. I gotta go scoop her. Let's go. So we go to the window to go pick her up. She get in the back. She done pop Molly and all that shit. She faded. This nigga, Tony, look at her like, yo, you in there faded in the club off of Molly? You fucking maggot. Call the fucking maggot. You fucking maggot. If you don't get back in there and go get my motherfucking money, circles right back around, drop this bitch right back off at the motherfucking club. Like, if you don't get your ass in there and get me my motherfucking bread. Nigga, I ain't never heard nobody talk to a bitch like that, like he's so hardcore with it, but, and then turn it off so quickly and be like, so Gab, what you wanna do now? Like, I'm like, shit, I don't know what the fuck to say at that point. I'm just like, wow, that nigga's official, man.
But
The only answer I got for that is wherever the fuck Tony wants to be, man. That nigga does what the fuck he wants. Anything that he's ever imagined or thought of, he's brought to fruition, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I've seen this nigga own apartment complexes, condos, houses. This nigga had a fleet of 550s, a couple Bentleys, and a Phantom. Had so much shit, you know what I mean? They took it and he fucking bounced right back and came right back through it. Back in the Bentley, back with the 550s, back with houses and cribs and shit. So whatever Tony want to do, he could do, you know what I mean? There's artists all through the game that he can get you, book you, you know what I mean? He can't, there ain't really shit Tony can't do, my nigga. Like, I don't think it's any limits for him at all. I think it's necessary. It's needed. It has to be done. Like, it's too many motherfuckers in this world. I always say that shit. Niggas are stuck in tunnel vision, man. They seeing shit one way and they seeing shit the way the government and everybody wants you to see it. Niggas watch too much TV. That's why I call it the idiot box. I don't fuck with it. That's why I got an Amazon Fire Stick and Wi-Fi. I don't fuck with TV. I watch what I want to watch when I want to watch. I ain't fucking with that shit. You know what I mean? So it's very necessary and needed for the game, man. For the world, period. People need to open their eyes and pay attention. It's gonna open some people minds to some things. You know what I mean?